It's Ashley with Court Reserve. It's another courtside conversation today, all about being a public facility. Welcome. We're so excited to have you. I already see questions coming in the Q&A. That's amazing. But before we get started, don't worry. This will be recorded and put on our Court Reserve YouTube channel later on today. And today is kind of a very exciting day because we are talking about all kinds of public facility best practices. And one of those is for you and your team to join us at an upcoming Court Reserve Catalyst. That is a 2-day teaching and best practice event. We just had one in Columbus, Ohio last week. It was incredible. 4 hours of roundtable best practice. So if you like what you see today, come to Detroit, Denver, or Toronto. That is on steroids, and it's an amazing time. You just get to network with people that are like-minded and in our space. And then the second day is full teaching in Court Reserve. And at the end of that day, people walk away with like pages and pages of best practices that they're going to take back for their facility. So if you have any questions, you can just reach out to courtreserve.com, and the Catalyst registrations are in there. The tickets are only $99 and we feed you. So please come. We have a great time. If you're anything in the pickleball business and want to learn best practices, our next Club Pickleball Mastermind is going to be August 12th through the 14th out in Utah with our friends at Club Pickleball. And if you didn't know, today is the day that it's a big celebration for us at Court Reserve. We've been working with Google for the last year today is the day it goes live for everybody who uses Court Reserve. What does that mean? It means that now, instead of going through the account creation, your players can easily book directly from their Google business profile. So if you want to learn more, you should have gotten an email from us today about the Google public booking integration. Of course, you can reach out to our chat support team and we can send you the information. You can go out to courtreserve.com today. Our latest blog is this one right here. And you can learn within a few minutes, as long as you have your Google business profile set up, your players could be easily booking directly from Google. And this is really to fill that unused court space, that programming that needs to be filled up, getting those new players in the door, which is exactly what we're going to talk to Matt and Alex about today. Hi, friends. How are you? I know they're here. They're probably just trying to figure out where the video button is.
Good morning.
All right. Well, so today, our panelists, very great people, great facilities. Matt is from HJK Ventures, Balboa Tennis out in San Diego, a beautiful facility. Can't wait to hear more about it. And then Alex is our friend from the north, all the way up in Toronto, multi-location of Pickleplex. So we got a little bit of pickle and a little bit of tennis today. And then Kayla from our customer support team is going to be helping us with all of our questions. So please put your questions out in the Q&A. That would be the best place, and we will get to them. So Matt, can I start with you? We'd love to hear just a little bit about your facility, all about you guys.
Sure. So, first of all, thanks for having me. Out here in San Diego, our business began about 4 years ago at Balboa Tennis Club. That's San Diego's largest tennis club. We have 25 courts. But the business that we run is actually only instructional business. So we don't manage any of the memberships. We don't manage the members or open play, booking courts, any of that. Our sole focus is 4 courts of instruction. And so what that does is it means that all of our attention is on how do we utilize this court space as efficiently as possible? How do we touch as many lives as possible? That, over the course of the last few years, led to us actually managing now a second club in San Diego. That's a little 6-court club. It's called University City Racket Club. And basically, we've turned it into a bit of a powerhouse. And it's once the train gets going full speed, sometimes you're a little scared of what comes with it. And I'm sure we're going to talk about some of those challenges today, but I'm just very excited to be here.
Thank you so much. All right, Alex, let's hear about your facility up in Canada.
Hi, everyone. My name's Alex, and I'm the director of operations for Pickleplex. And we've got 13, and I guess kind of a half because we have a little pop-up location going right now, locations running up in Canada. all ranging in different sizes, mainly from 6 courts all the way to 13 courts, just focusing on pickleball at this time. And we opened up our first location in January of 2025, and now we've already scaled up to 13 locations and counting, with more and more coming on the horizon, as I'm sure Ashley sees new locations being created by me every few weeks. It's getting a little bit crazy now, but super exciting. And we operate with like a franchise model, but we also have 4 corporate stores, and we'll be opening up our 5th corporate store soon. So super excited to share all the learnings I've had along the way, as well as learnings I've had from my past jobs in relatively the same space as well.
Okay, so we've got the tennis and the pickle. So first, let's really talk about how do you balance that public access and making sure that you have good structured programming? Now, I know, Matt, that's what you guys specialize in, and Alex, you guys specialize in that and court utilization or filling up those courts for those reservations. So let's talk about that first, Matt.
So I guess I would say that in my world in San Diego, the tennis community is extremely competitive. So there's a lot of options for people to go and play at different places, take different clinics, different lessons. I would say I learned very quickly when I moved to San Diego 15 years ago, you can walk down your street and one of your neighbors played in a Grand Slam. So just showing up, I realized from the beginning, you have to offer something that's different.
Mm.
And that's really what we specialize in. And I think why our business has thrived is that we basically have 4 main programs that we run for adults. I should have mentioned we have the largest adult tennis programs in Southern California. I don't know anybody, it might be further than that, but I haven't searched further. And so we have about 500 adult clinic spots every single week on 4 courts. We have 32 pros. So what that means is every time somebody walks in the door at Balboa and now our second site, we have to offer them an experience they can get nowhere else. And we have slowly and intricately grown that through, and Ashley knows this. I feel like I'm speaking to you, Ashley, but I'm speaking to everyone else through an incredible partnership with Court Reserve. I don't know how else to say it, that it allows me the time to manage 500 clinic spots through the software. And the story of our success basically is the story of Court Reserve, which is that as they've expanded and offered more features and more, even just that the new Google integration is like another way that I'm like, great, we need another club. Where are we going to fit all these people? So
I
it,
love
it's
that.
yeah, it's a pretty simple tale of find something that works for you guys and then extrapolate it and expand it. And the simplest way to put it is we just would not be here without Court Reserve.
Wow. So before we move on to Alex, specifically on the tennis side, what is your best program right now that you know is a home run? And how did you know that that was going to be a home run, or did you just test the waters?
Yeah, so if man, it's almost hard to boil it down because I am the type of person who thinks about this 24/7 and constantly testing my hypotheses. Is this class better? Is it worse? The timing, the coaching, the how we train the coaches, all that stuff that I think a lot of facilities take for granted. The number one thing that we do is our adult beginner tennis programs. And that is the key to every single thing we do at the club because we make our own players. We don't have to convince players from another club to come over to us. We don't have to try to upsell you on taking more lessons. The whole system that I think a lot of the tennis industry is used to is flipped. You're lucky to be here because I got 20 on the wait list. And
Right.
so for lack of a better term, whatever we end up doing with pricing, which goes up every year, they're there for it. Whatever new coaches, new experience, new day, new time, people are spilling into those options. And so 100%, and I hope we'll talk about this more, the adult beginner clinics have been life-changing. I don't know how else to say it.
Wow. I think, Alex, I'm ready to go to San Diego and be in a beginner tennis clinic. I mean, I'm excited. All right, Alex, you're on mute, but tell us a little bit about how you guys look at how do you balance that public access and that structured programming? And then is this the same in pickleball as it is in tennis?
Great questions. Let me first just touch on how do we balance the public access. So we sell memberships, and we
Okay.
also sell memberships that give people free access to be able to play as included in their membership. We have certain restrictions that allows the court reserve allows us to set into those memberships. They're not going and booking every day, every court booking, all in the future. But we sell a limited number of those memberships. The reason why we mainly sell those memberships is one, those people are going to be the ravers for us who go out and tell everyone about the community about us. And two, those are the people that are going to shorten our revenue ramp to get up to our full potential of being able to optimize the amount of utilization and the amount of revenue that's coming into our business. It's easy to sell busy. It's hard to sell empty. So if you sell a base level of memberships out of the gate, and those people are going to play a lot and get into all of your different programs, all your different open plays, that's fine as long as they're not filling them all up with all free play. Because what I found is when you have the public wanting to come play and they go look at your open plays and they see there's 0 people registered, 1 person registered, 2 people registered, they're hesitant to sign up. But when you sell a base level of memberships or sell a base level of punch passes to people that they can go and access these programs for free, and now there's 8 people enrolled, what you'll start to see is just an effect of it just waterfalls. Everyone starts to sign up for it, and it's super exciting. We found that to be really a difference maker for us. And as Matt said, we start to hike the prices from there. Like once you realize the value, the average value that each member is getting, you can always grow from there. But the most important part is just not overselling, but selling enough that at least things are getting busy from the get-go.
I love what you said because I think Matt and I have talked about this in Texas a couple months ago, where when people see that they're going to have FOMO, they're going to miss out, and they see the wait list or they see it filling up, they don't they're like, when can I get on the list? When does registration open up? So Matt, when you guys are doing your programs, these with 20 people on the wait list, how far in advance are you opening up these programs for registration? And how many times are you having to say, I'm so sorry, you should register early?
It's a great question. The system that works for us now, I'm always open to a new system that's a little bit more amicable or fair to everyone. But the best one I can find is that everyone assumes I am going to open up the clinics about 4 times a year for the next 3 months,
Oh,
and I alert all of our players through Court Reserve that that's happened, and you're welcome to sign up. I've dabbled with, and this kind of goes back to this interesting conversation that Alex kind of started making me think of. I've dabbled with making it more amicable so you can only sign up for a certain class 60 days out or 30 days out. What I found was that drove down demand the harder it was for people to remember to sign up. So we have one class in particular called Sip and Serve. You have to be 21 to 40, and we play big group tennis games, and then we go out for food and drinks afterwards. This is every Sunday night. 36 spots, 2024. I think we had it like 46 weeks, 46 Sundays out of the year. All 46 were sold out. All 46 had a wait list. 2025, I thought, well, we're seeing the same people just book out everything. Maybe I'll put it so that you can only sign up 60 days out, thinking somehow that was more fair. What you had was people just forgetting to sign up, and now all of a
oh,
sudden there's no wait list. It's the same people, but I was making it more fair in an attempt that kind of drove that feeling of that demand of, oh, I'll never get in, so I'll just throw myself on every wait list. It again, it was maybe fairer that more people got to play, but removing that experience of I am lucky to get into this class. If I get in off the wait list, I'm not canceling. It was a
right.
priority for people, and I
Yeah.
I learned a valuable lesson. Let's put it that way.
Well, and it's habit too, right? Because like
Yes.
at my club, Saturday morning live cardio, right?
Mhm.
It's 7 days out to register. If I forget, then I get out of the habit of remembering to even make that a part of my week. So
Yep.
I love that. So Alex, tell us about your programming. How many days in advance for programming specific for you guys?
We only allow 14-day advance program like booking for any of our programming, and that's only for members. Anyone who's coming in off the streets, it's typically down to 7 days. But again, we make sure we limit it so that come the 7 days, if there's enough demand and we've got a popular program out there, there's going to be space available for the public to get into, and they know they need to get in fast. We like to open it up at 8 a.m. for the entire day. So
Mhm.
anything that's set for 14 days or 7 days out, it's always opening up at 8 a.m. just to keep that same standard if you can just sign up at that time. Because we've found if you set it exactly 14 days to the hour, some people have skirted around the system and found little loopholes that we just can't get
Hmm.
around. So that's how we've typically set up the most bulk of our stuff. Sometimes for lessons and sometimes for summer camps or things of that
Mm.
nature, we'll go to 90 day or 120 day just to really try to drum up some interest and start to get an idea of what is the demand from the community for something like this.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know on the summer camp conversations we had a couple months ago, one of the participants was like, I push summer camp for next year at the current summer camp this year because that's when people are like, I don't, parents don't wait until June. They got to book this stuff in, November
Yep.
and December. So I love that. So help me understand, Alex, from your perspective, what's your pickleball specific? What's your best programming that you guys have right now? Is there a particular class where you just knock it out of the park every week and it's sold out?
Yes, we've got two, I will say, two that are very different, one within lesson and one within program. The program one is mini tournaments. So we host
Ooh,
set partner mini tournaments, which are literally just making set partner round robin, but making them sexy. That's all it is. We're just giving them a sexy name. All it is you have a set partner. You're going to be playing with them for the entire 2 hour
yeah.
rotation. And let's say you're using 3 courts. You'll have 7 teams sign up, so only one team sits off at a time. You're going to play the 6 other teams. We put it all into Swish, which is one of Court Reserve
Yep.
partners. And at the very end of it, it's just based on total points won across all the matches. And all of our clubs have a podium. So we do little photos of everyone on the podium. Sometimes we even get sponsors at a lot of our clubs for these, and we give people little prizes and we get photos. We put it into our, WhatsApp groups. But these are so successful right now. And all we've really done is taken a set partner round robin and just made it a little sexy.
I love it. That's amazing. And now in Court Reserve, you can sign them up as a team.
Yep.
And that's awesome. I love that.
Exactly what we do. And then
That's
for lessons, it's basically the same as Matt. It sees we do free introduction to pickleballs for adults, and we do these at least 4 times a week, and
Yeah.
they are so successful. Again,
Yep.
I love what Matt said, where you're not competing with someone else who's
Mhm.
already a member of another club who's got these expectations the way things are. You need to train them about what they need to be like in your club. They don't have any expectations. You're bringing someone brand new and you're providing them an 11-star experience. I hate to say 5-star because we strive to always go above and beyond that 5-star experience. And you ensure that you give them the best free introduction to pickleball that you can possibly give them. So they keep coming back and they are the ones who are going to funnel into all your other programs and be the best public players that you could possibly have in your community above all else.
I'm learning a lot here, Ashley.
Mic drop.
Podiums. I need to invest in podiums. This is
Podiums. Come
incredible.
on, right? I love it.
This is
I think
awesome.
that's the one thing that pickleball's done well is it's done this, if you think about as an adult tennis player, I played USTA tournaments in North Carolina for years and you literally had to play all weekend, several rounds to get, a medal and then there was like, 20 people left at the end of the tournament because the other 98 had gone home already because they had lost, right? But pickleball, it's pretty like happy and there's a lot of people at the end and they made the podium and they've got the little gold chain. My husband Tim has a wall full of pickleball medals that we'll never remember where they came from, right? But it means something, right? It means something to adults. Because how often do you get to win something as an adult? And it's so cool. It's a great experience. So I love that. So Matt's getting podiums. Awesome. All right. So let's talk about how do you know when it's the right time to raise the price? And how do you raise the price? Do you tell them? Do you give them notice? Like, how do you handle that? Because it's a business. We're still driving business here. Let's go with you, Matt.
So My business model typically, and again, I'm speaking more about our club that has the large mass of clinic takers. It's similar at our club that we manage the entire club, but just when we're talking about instruction and clinics, because that's kind of the main focal point of my attention most days. Basically, we need to think backwards from raising the price.
Hmm.
So I'm always talking to my coaches about this plan that every year we're raising the price at least $1 on everything.
Okay.
And why we do that is because now it, I think, sets a plan for the entire year, which is will they be happy with that, the customers? Generally, nobody likes the price to go up. So, what are we going to do that makes them concede, yeah, this not only is something I'm okay with, this is a good thing.
Mhm.
So, things like my marketing to the players about, like, hey, we're committed to having the best balls in our teaching carts in San Diego.
Okay.
That's huge, right? You go to one of the most expensive resorts and they have all old dead balls in the carts. That's a really simple one. Number two is like the service the pros offer has got to get better. Maybe it's a better experience as far as them. One of my favorite things we're having our pros do is take a little video of the player at the end of their lesson talking about what they learned and what they need to remember on their phone. So they take their
Oh,
lesson learnings home with them. That costs nothing. It takes 30 seconds, and all of a sudden they go, I've never had a tennis pro do that before. I know from my end, we need to offer programs for people that in just a sign up, organization, clarity, what happened with the rain? Did I receive my credit back to my account? I need to have an experience that is 100% smooth for everybody. Like a great week for me is I wouldn't say no complaints, but I had no obstacles. Somebody couldn't figure it out. It didn't make sense. Oops, I forgot. And so it just forces us to get better every year, as opposed to, I think for a lot of people, their fear in raising the prices, well, what are we doing differently? We're just going to do the same thing every year. So why are you raising the price? So
love that.
that's the one for it drives us, is I guess what I would say.
I love that. What about you guys, Alex?
Mhm. I love what Matt said. You always need to be striving to be better, right? So you always need to be striving to providing an experience above all else. And the most important thing that we always look at when we're raising prices, and we do raise prices all the time, is what is the market rate within a 30-minute drive of any of the clubs that are within distance to us? I always want to be aware of what are all our competitors doing and what sort of prices are they providing for the type of facility that they have. A lot of times we look at some of the other clubs in our areas and we realize some of these aren't necessarily clubs. I like to refer to them more as facilities, right? In my eyes, a club is a place where you can find your community and find other people, where a facility is a place with just courts, you play and you always just leave immediately. There isn't that extra level of experience or hospitality that you're being provided. So we look at trying to charge a fair market rate with the other clubs within our network and always making sure our staff are all prepared with what are the other prices in the community. So if they're getting asked, they know how to prepare for it. The way we look at it is if we're completely filled and no one can gain access and it's filled days in advance, we're probably charging a price that's a little bit too low.
Mhm.
So at that point is when we really look into what are the other places in our community doing? What are they charging? What is the experience like? I go play at those clubs. I tell my franchisees, I tell my general managers, go play at those clubs. We go check it out. But above all else, we don't have to base our pricing on what they're doing. But if we're charging a higher price, then we need to be providing a heightened level experience on top of what those places are providing, or else we will lose our customers.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, let's continue with this player experience theme we're going down. We've talked about the beginner player, but how do you serve both the beginner players and then those very high level or competitive players? Now, we're all four O's in both sports, right? We know we're all four O's, but there is a difference in those beginners and then those maybe 4.0, 4.5s on up. How do you do it, Matt? How do you handle the experience for both?
Man, this is such a great question because I feel very validated by this question. As you may or may not have already been able to tell, I like to go against the grain a little bit and the sort of this is how we've always done things. And I have a little bit of a working theory about how the tennis industry operates, and that is that if you look at most tennis clubs, their membership by level, let's just say, is the shape of a diamond. So there's very few beginners, and there's a huge mass of 3-0, 3-5, 4-0s that are mediocre, regular players. They play league, they're casual, they didn't play college. And then it peaks again as you start to get to people who are an elite level athlete. However, if you look at tennis in the world, there are very few people who have won a major, and there's 8 billion people who have never picked up a racket. So our tennis club should reflect that. And so one of the things that I have done is built out literally a pyramid structure of the amount of time we dedicate to beginner clinics, beginner play opportunities, beginner leagues, and that gets slimmer as we get to the upper elite levels. That is the simplest reason why our business has grown, because well more than half of our business is lower level people. Or players, I should say. I'm giving a seminar at a conference coming up called Why Your Lowest Level Players Should Be Your Highest Priority. And
Oh.
it's specifically just around the fact that I think we over prioritize because we think about the person who won the tournament as like, yes, that's elite, that's special. That does not fill a business. If you're waiting for Djokovic's to come and fill your 300 person membership facility, there's not enough of them. So I guess the balance, I would say, is not an equal balance, but it's sort of a funnel that's driving as many players into our club as possible. Because to be honest with you, and here's the simple answer, it's kind of based on what Alex said, there's a lot of other options for people who are high level.
Mm-hmm.
They're the most fickle players to take care of. When they're saying, should I spend $35 on a clinic or go hit with my friend for free? That's hard to compete with. So we really don't cater to those players as much, would be the simplest answer.
Wow, Alex, pickleball, man, right? Those high level pickleball. I mean, I have a pickleball club. Those high level players, you almost have to like pay them cash to come play at your club sometimes, right? So I agree with Matt. What do you think, Alex?
I could not agree more. Beginner players
Mhm.
are your bread and butter and the most important. The beginner players and your lower intermediate players, those are the players who don't know or don't have other players to play with. They want help. They're searching for other ways to be active, be involved, but they don't have that like long contact list, or they're not getting reached out to every day, someone asking for a hit. Those high level players, everyone wants to play with them. They're getting asked for hits all the time. They're the ones who are going to come into your facility and want to play 8 hours in a day and have it all be for free, and maybe even have you give them free stuff because they're playing at your facility. So it's really a balancing act, because oftentimes the beginner players are going to be your quietest players, and your most talented players, as Matt said, are going to be the most fickle players, and oftentimes be the ones that are going to come up to you, not necessarily with complaints, but suggestions for how things should be or how things would be. But you really need to quantify it. And you need to quantify the percentage, as Matt said as well, of how much are you allocating to beginner play, how much are you allocating to intermediate play, and how much are you allocating to advanced play. And I completely agree. It has to be a pyramid. Beginner players are mostly going to be available to play for their first time Monday to Friday in the evening, or Saturdays and Sundays, like usually in the morning or early afternoon. And you need to have ample opportunity to get those people on the court. But you do still need to keep those upper intermediate and advanced players happy, right? So there's a balancing act there too. And we mainly do that through verified play. So we have open plays. Open play, if you identify as an intermediate player, you can play an intermediate open play. Advanced open play, if you identify as an advanced player, you can play an advanced open play. But a verified play, you need a duper rating of X amount and with a reliability score, or you need to get a rating session done with one of our coaches who verifies you for that. And we only do verified play for the high level players, which also makes those high level players feel more valued, because
Mhm.
they know they're going to be protected from playing with lower level players in some of these programming sessions.
I love it. It makes a lot of sense. And it keeps the process for you guys as well, because then you're not, I mean, it is really hard to get into a group play when somebody is a lot higher or a lot lower, because nobody's enjoying that. Nobody wants to go out bageled in any sport.
100%.
Okay, so let's talk about operations and staffing. So that front desk check-in experience, that coming through the front door, what's that like for you guys, Matt, out in San Diego?
So we try to, it's the more I tell you about, especially Balboa, the crazier you're going to think we are. We don't have a front desk.
Okay.
We don't have an office. We have four courts. That is it. So when I talk to people and I tell them about what we've been able to accomplish there, and they're like, "Well, but that's not this." I'm like, "Listen, we didn't have every tool at our disposal. So 100% of what we do is through the app and me through my computer, and there really isn't a desk per se. We have a pro shop on site that's kind of separated, and so it's not logical for people to like walk through the pro shop to get to the courts. So everything's got to be not just digital, but everything's got to be abstract. People
Mhm.
have to be able to handle it from their phones. Um, I think that's a nice thing because it makes it really streamlined. Like I have to set the system up in a way that makes sense and will work for everyone. I can't just say, well, talk to the desk about it. And it also really streamlines things. I'm sure you could imagine with 500 clinic spots a week, no one pays on site. No
Right.
one pays cash. Everything's through the app. This makes life so easy. In fact, we even tell people, we really try to discourage them from using the website and just download the app immediately. It's the first thing you do, download Court Reserve. And that just makes our process really simple. There's always a few little outliers, but most of my week is not spent manually checking in with people. Hi, who are you? I met you in person. Oh, remember I told you this thing. Everything's via email, so everything's trackable, traceable. I just told Ashley I'm going on my honeymoon. I can check emails while I'm on my honeymoon this fall. And I'm sure that will be really popular.
No,
But
no, no, don't
if
do
there's
that.
some sort of if there's some sort of a big issue, it's not in a physical place where I have to call people and do investigative work to figure it out. So that's been the key for us. Now at our other site, which is a little different because it does have a traditional pro shop that you have to walk through, everything's check-in digitally with your scan code, and after that, the front desk person is more or less there just to make sure the daily operations of the club go smoothly. So there's
Okay.
there's no on-site payments. Again, everything's
Right.
digital. Let's put it this way. If the desk person had to go home sick, the club would work out fine.
Good
Nothing would
motto.
change.
Love
Yeah.
that. How about you guys, Alex?
We're somewhat similar. We need everyone to download the app and scan in. Every single person needs to scan in. So if that front desk person is helping out with an open play, giving someone a little bit light instruction of the rules or how to play, or they're going out and cleaning one of our bathrooms, people are scanning themselves in, and everything needs to be paid ahead of time as well. And the main reason we want everyone downloading the app now more than ever is also with public bookings, because if we're directing people to our website, it's now taking our members to the public bookings, which has gotten people confused. So now more than ever, we're pushing everyone to download the app. And might I say, enable public bookings if you haven't yesterday, because you need to get it going. It starts bringing in so many people. And also, when you get everyone to download the app, you can utilize push notifications. And we've found that if we send out too many emails, everyone just starts unsubscribing and people stop opening those emails. So we like to keep our emails limited. But when you send out a bunch of push notifications, it's a lot more manageable and people don't unsubscribe to them. They don't really even know how. And it's directly to people's phones so that
Yes.
we always put a call to action every push notification that's like, here's a link to sign up for this, or we've got this availability. Here's the link to go sign up now. And if everyone downloads the app, it makes it so much easier. And you need everyone to check in themselves. You need to set that standard from the get-go. The only ever issue is like 15 minutes before the booking hour if we've got the public coming in, because those people don't know our priorities or expectations. So
Mhm.
those are the people we need to teach what coming to this club looks like.
That's awesome. So the pay to play model for sure. That's awesome. Do it in the app, get them to sign the waiver, get them to do everything before they get there. Now, what's the policy around those no shows or those cancellations? Matt, what do you guys do with those? Because I wouldn't assume you have a lot of those.
Well, so I'll pivot from Balboa. Let's look at University City Racket Club for a moment, where again, we manage the entire club and the membership, and people have to check in at the desk. A little more traditional experience. We have a challenge, and I haven't figured out the perfect answer yet, which is on one hand, there are a lot of people that try to, obviously, our court time is very limited and competitive. So we have a lot of players that want to get in and play. And if for some reason in hindsight they see a court was open, they are committed to letting us know there was an open court and somehow they weren't told about it, and who canceled and are they being punished. I believe that, and I actually ironically like the method that they use at the membership side of Balboa, where essentially you get a warning for a
Mm,
no-show and
yep.
then you lose privileges.
Okay.
And that does fall in line with our methodology of, and again, maybe this isn't the best way of putting it, that's sort of like, I'm lucky to be here and have this opportunity, and I might lose it if I abuse it. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. Um, I don't love punishing people who are our customers. But again, if we're doing our job of keeping the club high efficiency, then that's the only way to make people kind of go, oh, God, this is going to be annoying if I can't book next. Okay, I'll call, I'll take a minute and figure out
Yeah.
however I have to alert them.
That's good. How about you, Alex?
We have really struck down on this because, a lot of people complain when, someone doesn't show up and it ruins a program, or a court sits empty and there was a lot of people looking to rent that court. So we do kind of what Matt was saying there. We give everyone one warning. After that one warning, we charge people $20 for a no-show fee, and it gets
Ooh.
put right on their account. It sets the expectation. After the one warning, during the warning, we give them a phone call. And then no matter what, whether they answer the phone call and we explain what the policy is or not, we're going to send them an email to exactly what the policy is if they ever are to no show again. We have a far too lenient no show policy. Like, we allow people to cancel 12 hours in advance. Almost every other facility in the nearby area is 24 hours, but
Hmm.
people love that we do 12 hours. We're very, very lenient, but we don't allow anyone to cancel within that 12 hours. So if you're canceling within that 12 hours for anything, you've got to call us or you've got to email us so that we can manage it. We used to allow people to cancel up to, 4 hours before, but still had our policy in place. And then we found out there was people getting around, like getting charged the no-show fee. So now we make it a requirement. They have to contact us and let us know the reasons. Obviously, we work with our members. If there's a legitimate reason, we're not going to charge the fee. But we've just essentially added a POS item called no-show fee. So if you're selling a racket, it's like basically selling a racket, but a no-show fee to people when they don't show. So if someone doesn't show, we actually just create a list of everyone who is marked as a no-show, and our managers of each facility every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday will just go in and add that POS item to the person's account every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to charge the no-show fees.
Wow. That's, I mean, what else can you do, right? Like, it's the naughty list.
And we have a revenue category for it. So I track no-show fees bi-weekly, and I give updates to every club about how much they've generated in these cancellation fees to let them know if their manager or their staff are actually charging these and staying on top of these, or if they aren't. Because people will abuse the system if you let them. So you have to have parameters in place to not allow for people to abuse your system.
Wow, that's so true. Now I know operationally, Matt, you said that your pro shop is on site, but not really a part of what you guys do. And I'm not even sure
Mhm.
about what you guys do, Alex, for your pro shop. But how do you take a look at additional revenue, not just from programming or lessons or court reservations? How do you look at that additional revenue as part of, being that full experience for a player in a public facility, Matt?
Yeah, I would say that when you get back to, and I want to touch on something Alex was talking about in his
Mm-hmm.
first question answered, which was essentially when you boil it down, Alex, what are we really, two successful businesses, what are we really in the business of? It's not instruction, really, when you think about it. It's not even play, it's community. And so what we try to do is build in things that only further drive that community.
Hmm.
So a lot of consultations with our pro shop team about rackets. That just builds a new relationship there. Oh, cool. I know I got a guy. You don't know what to do with your strings? I got a guy. Come talk to Matt. Let's chat about that. Um, we're talking about events and special one-off socials, gatherings, tournaments. All of those things fall right into the category of, yeah, this is why I play here. More fun stuff. What the greatest question somebody could ever ask is, when is the next one? And so I would say that our pro shop does well compared to other pro shops, but the mass of players that we house for our clinics are a lot of working class people who typically don't buy the new racket every year. And I would say lean more in the this is an exercise class experience for them that's more engaging or hardworking than think of it in terms of bar or yoga or something like that. I only have an hour and a half. I want to get sweaty and not think about work. And so it just isn't the traditional tennis club where it's like, oh yeah, give me the new blade, let's buy that one. Um, but yeah, I think a lot of those things are personal and they're special. And a lot of the logo gear is like the big one for us. We don't sell a lot of tennis clothes. We don't sell tennis shoes at all. Logo gear, because that is their way of saying, yeah, I belong to this very special community over here.
I love that. What about you guys, Alex?
Matt and I are just so aligned, aren't we? I love it. Like we look at our pro shops as mainly being convenience for our members and also a way to build and drive community, right? Like most of our stuff is Pickleplex branded gear
Mhm.
and even just having Pickleplex paddles because the number one expense or the number one reason why people don't try or play a sport is because it's too expensive for their first time out or they don't want to pay and invest in the gear. So if you're looking at your pro shop and you're only selling those $300 to $350, $250 gear, it's going to drive a lot of people away from coming back again. But if you have something that's a lot more palpable to these people that makes it seem more affordable, makes it seem more approachable, makes it easier, and maybe it's their first time in, so you're giving them a free paddle rental and giving them a free ball to just go and try it out. That's the more important part because if you're building that avenue, you're going to grow with that customer. So, maybe they're buying your $40 paddle right now, but in a couple months, they might be buying that $250, $300 paddle from you. And you really do need to listen to your community to see what they're looking for. What are they interested in? What's the number one thing that's selling to them? What are they asking for? Because if they're asking for it, we should try to find a way to sell it. And we're not trying to gouge these people. I don't look at it as like, we need to increase our pro shop revenue, like that's our top priority. No, it's just if we're not selling anything, that means we're not stocking the right things. So we need to stock the right things because we need to listen to what people are actually looking for.
I love it. We're working on an integration with a company called Racket Pass, and they do demos, right? And it's
We're using them.
incredible. Oh, that's awesome. It's incredible now because like we have so much data to be able to help a pro shop like not buy a bunch of extra stuff that nobody's going to buy, right? And so those are the little things that you can do to help create that community and the best practice for your players and everything. So, all right, here's a big question for you. I'm going to start with you, Matt. What is the biggest mistake that public facilities make?
Okay. I think that, and I'll speak about the San Diego landscape because I think it's very unique and it may or may not apply to other places around the country. But for us here in San Diego, we have something like 50 tennis clubs in San Diego. And we're talking San Diego County. We refer to it as the city, but San Diego County has 1.3 million people, something like that, and like 50 tennis clubs. And a vast majority of them are private tennis clubs
Mm.
and are your very traditional country club experience where things are expensive and they're exclusive is probably the best way I would put it. I think for public tennis clubs, we forget that their members of these exclusive country clubs can come to us for instructions and programming and socials. Our members probably can't go to their club. So that's a little cheat code life hack that I always try to think about when we're innovating is that I think it will really show how successful we are when we have those few ladies from the club where they make you wear all white show up to our clinics and you go, "You play at that club, don't you?" They're like, "Yeah, we heard this is great." That's indicative of what we're trying to do. And if anything, I think being a public facility is it's an advantage that I think often people are like, "Oh, that's nice." And I'm like, "No, I wouldn't have it any other way." Um, it's so much easier to cultivate that environment. And I'll just maybe comment on a previous facility I worked at. Essentially, when I worked at this very, very ritzy private club, essentially the job was make sure these 300 people are happy, whatever they want. At a public facility, I get to ask myself the big question of what would be best for everyone. How could I capture as many people as possible? Again, a private tennis club with 300 members might not care about beginners because there's not that many beginners there. A public facility can be built in that pyramid structure. So I just don't think I could be nearly as successful as we've been if dealing with a private entity.
I love it. How about you guys, Alex? What's the biggest mistake public facilities make?
I've got two big ones. Number one is focusing all of your reliance on just public play coming in and booking courts. You need to have programs and you need to have lessons and you need to have tournaments and you need to have leagues because with all of those other things that I just named, you're building an experience that's different than everyone else. When someone's coming in and they're booking a court, they are essentially managing the vast majority of their own experience themselves. We don't really have any involvement besides maybe an initial touch point, an initial, "Hey, Ashley, great to see you. Goodbye. Have a great day." Beyond that, when they're on the court, there's not as much to manage. So if you're going to neglect the experience level of all your programs, lessons, leagues, everything else, then you're going to neglect building your business because those people who only come in and are only ever interested in booking courts, those are the people that will leave in the grand scheme of things should a better place or a better facility or a better anything come online versus all the people who are funneling out to your programs who are having a great experience every single time they're coming in and being mixed around at your programs. Those are the people going to stick with you regardless of price. Price isn't that important. They're only looking at paying for a higher level experience. They're not looking at what anyone else is charging. And those people are going to meet other people from those programs, and then they're going to want to join the other people for just regular court bookings. And that's the best thing to see in the world. I love seeing that. Number two, which is a quick one, is just not auditing your own club. Not going in and calling your club and asking simple questions to the front desk or getting a friend to ask them for you to see how they respond. Not going and booking a court yourself and testing out the new punch pass you put online, the new membership you put online, and making sure that it's easy to understand and that someone coming in off the streets can understand it. It needs to be simple. And your staff, above all else, need to understand it. So if you're not auditing things yourself and not auditing that check-in process, especially, you're going to be missing the mark.
Wow, that's great. Well, we do have a great question that I want to tackle before we miss out of time here. Rachel wants to know how they have moved players from intermediate clinics to more advanced clinics and eventually leagues. Our players seem to do beginner, then intermediate, but do not move up beyond like a 201 class. Alex, you want to take that first?
Sure, I can charge ahead. I'm excited to hear Matt's answer for this as someone who specializes in this stuff, but we've had similar problems. And what I would say is we've started to try to make the naming conventions for everything we run, like dumb it down as much as possible. Like we've started to really switch around, like road to 3.75, road to 4.0, road to becoming a league player, road to becoming a tournament player. Make it super simple, because if you're like skills and drills with serving clinic, people are kind of like, what the heck is that? Because most people don't even go beyond just seeing what the title says. So we've really tried to make sure that the naming convention is simple, and then also giving coaches incentives to have people book on the spot and sign up for something later on. So if they've just taken a class that's like a road to 3.5, and now they've succeeded and they're a 3.5 and they're put in that verified level of a 3.5, now it's how do you sell them on taking that class into a road 3.75 and giving the coaches either a little bit of commission to go in and make that sale on the spot, or giving them the ability to discount if they can get someone to sign up right then and there on the spot. Because you need to take advantage of people when they're in your facility face to face with someone they trust. Because if you rely on them doing it on their own time, they're not going to do it.
Wow. Matt, what you got for that one?
This is an interesting point, and it's funny. So many of the questions I've answered, and then Alex answers, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is so different from tennis to pickleball." And I think it's a healthy conversation if you're in both spaces, because tennis is so much more instruction driven than pickleball, and pickleball is so much more play driven. For us, the coaches drive everything. So our beginner classes are called the Balboa Beginner Pathway or the University City Beginner Pathway 1.0, where everybody who knows shows up is playing with orange balls, adult or kid. Well, I shouldn't say for the kids, but for adults, and they know they are a 1.0. Our next level beginner class is 2.0. They play with green dot balls. They are a 2.0, and we set restrictions on their level where they cannot change their level in court reserve. So all of the clinics that come after that, in order to get your level changed, you must have approval from one of our coaches on site. So at least the coach can give me a heads up. Hey, this person's ready, but they're also in their 80s, just so you know. Don't push them too fast towards a certain speed. Again, many of these people, we have 500 people a week. I don't know many of them. So speaking to our coaches on site, they're the ones you have to get approval from to get upgraded. And again, there's just this understanding that because we're not, this is a little bit of like a tennis thing that I don't know if pickleball has, but traditionally tennis is focused on the best players. So all the programs are the most fun for the best players. So everybody has to move on. I would say to, I think it was Rachel who asked this question, you don't care if they get better.
Right.
They could be a 2.0 forever. I have a client who is playing beginner green dot and she's in her 70s. And she said, please don't bump me up to yellow ball because then it's going to be too fast and it's not as fun. This is my tennis crew. I love doing this. So I guess I would counsel you, first of all, on not worrying about how fast people move. I had someone the other day come to his first tennis class who grew up playing badminton, and he's a fighter pilot, and he's just very intense. And it was like, dude, you're a 4.0. You need to go over there. Like you're incredible. That's great. We lubricate that pathway for somebody who's ready. If you are a 2.5, we have a lifetime of community and experiences and fun that you can have with us. And we're not going to be like, all right, you're not getting any better.
Right.
Most of our experiences, again, are that sort of play experience, not we need to make you better to get to the next one, to get to the next one endlessly. You've already arrived. You're good enough.
I love that. It should be the best 90 minutes of my entire day, right? No matter what level I am. So
Yep. That's a
that's
great way of putting
incredible.
it.
All right. Last question. What's the one thing you would implement immediately if you had to start over from the beginning? Who wants to go first?
Alex, you go first. I want to hear your answer.
That's a tough one. I love this question. It's a really good question. I would say it's very different because I get to start over at least every month because we're always opening up a new club. And I luckily have implemented a new thing, probably five new things every time we open a club. So it's really exciting. Like one of the most recent ones that we've started trying to implement is how do we get it so that people's renewal dates on their memberships aren't coming into the summer season for a pickleball membership? Because
Oh.
we've noticed with our clubs when they come up for renewal, when their renewal date is around, February, March, April, May, there's a significantly larger percentage of people who don't renew their membership versus those who have their renewal dates at the end of August, September, October, November.
Hmm.
The vast majority of those people renew for their membership. So we've been trying to work on strategies out of the gate of how do we get it and strategically sell extra months of memberships, even if it means it being at a slight discount, so that everyone's renewal date comes up around that fall season when it comes to memberships. Another thing I would say is if a club doesn't make it mandatory to scan in right from the get-go, it'll be almost impossible to switch everyone over to get them used to the idea of every single time you come in, you need to scan in. So
Mm.
that's another critical one because as I mentioned earlier, we use push notifications into the app as well. So if you're not getting everyone to do that from the get-go, it can end up being a huge mistake. And lastly, I would say is overselling memberships. If you oversell these memberships and then you put out these programs and your members who have heavily discounted bookings into them, or your members who get it for free are going to overcrowd them to the point where public can't get in. And if the public can't get in, they're just going to give up on ever trying to come to your facility and they're going to go play at your competitors and never even come visit your facility.
Wow, those are good. All right, Matt.
I'm making notes here, Alex. I just want you to know that. I'll send you a check. So I've got kind of two different ways of looking at it. One would be for our Balboa business, which is purely instructional, and that would be starting with more beginners from the beginning of
Mm.
our time there. When we took over, they had a clinic, one court of one clinic every single week, and that was 8 spots. All of our clinics are 6 now, but that was eight players a week that were beginners that had an opportunity to start playing. Within a year of that, we had about 100. This summer, we're going to have 150 adult beginner clinic spots every single week.
Wow.
That, like I said, drives everything. I only wish I had started it sooner, and who knows where we would be now. The other thing I would say is that our other club, University City Racket Club, which again is a little bit more of a traditional tennis club environment, and I would say it's really three things if I could do it over and just wave a magic wand. One would be no memberships.
Mm.
Because we're a public facility, we offer a very reasonable membership. It's like $30 a month, which is nothing for the year. But now these players have ownership over your facility and a certain amount of that time. And I'm dealing with a board of members who, although very nice, are looking out for their own interests. So we don't like that you're changing that schedule or you're moving those programs, right? We want to have our open court time, which anyone will tell you is the death
Hmm.
of most tennis clubs. We just have open court time for anybody to use. It's not the 70s where you can just have courts and people will show up and fill them. So that's one. No memberships, if I could wave a magic wand. No ball machine. That's another one. Very inefficient use of space. In tennis, we don't have the luxury of balls that never go dead. So we're constantly replenishing the balls. So, yeah, sure, there's a small amount of profit at the end of the year, but it's a really inefficient use of space. And people, one person at a time. Again, private lessons are the same way for me. That's not going to make our business thrive or build a community.
Hmm.
And then the third one for us is at University City, we allow 2 hours for doubles play reservation, and an hour and a half for singles. And again, that's something that we inherited. I think it's more amicable to say we do a lot of like, who's the fourth? Oh, they didn't show, so we actually just played singles, even though we had a 2 hour reservation. That's a lot of wasted time on our front desk to like manage that and have, quite frankly, some young people have to go tell adults, hi, you actually have to leave the court. That's none of the people who work for us, but you get my point. So I would just say across the board, an hour and a half reservation for whatever you want to do. Doesn't matter what you do. You had 5 people show up, you had 8 people show up. You got the court for an hour and a half. That would make us so much more efficient in those prime times.
Wow. Well, this has been such an incredible 60 minutes. Thank you guys so much for all your insight. And I'm just so excited. We're going to cut this up and put it all over social so we can just continue to help more club owners and operators do best practices with public facilities. So thank you, Matt and Alex, so much for coming today.
Thank you, Ashley. Alex, I'm going to call you when I have questions, my man.
I'm going to call you. I've got a lot of questions for you. We're going to be connecting. And Ashley, thank you for hosting and inviting us on. Truly a pleasure. And
Yeah, this was
I,
great.
I think Matt and I both can't be more thankful for Court Reserve, and we are loyal customers for life.
Thank you, guys. See you soon. Take care.
Bye,
Bye bye.
everyone.